Well, it's slightly overcast and a little bit breezy, but not the worst afternoon we've seen for motor racing in 2020 at Sebring International Raceway. Welcome to our broadcast for qualifying for the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, right in the middle of the Central Highlands region of Florida, with a classic circuit laid out on the former World War II training base, with names as well as numbers. The Ullman Straight, Jean de Miam Bends, Gurney was in there as well. That's what tells you about the history of this particular venue. The original home, of course, for the Formula One Grand Prix here in the United States, and also with plenty of sports car heritage to fall back on as well. In the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre, I'm John Hindhaugh. Jeremy Shaw will join me in a moment or two. Shea Adam is our VP Fuel Pit and Paddock reporter. Usual setup, Shea, for this, with a couple of three quick fire sessions for our drivers this afternoon.
Yeah, starting with GTD, where we know all the qualifiers because it has to be the lesser rated driver. It has to be a silver or bronze driver to qualify the car, which means that it will be Robbie Foley in the Turner Motorsport BMW. That's car number 96. Corey Fergus, the pole sitter at Daytona in the 76 Compass Racing McLaren. We know that's a very fast car. We've also got Gar Robinson in the Riley Mercedes. That's number 74 car. They won at the Encore back in November.
And Gar was quick when he did his simulated run in FP2. Good enough for third, even when the pro drivers got in the car.
Yeah, very quick. And Gar was feeling good about that time. I talked to him in between the sessions, and he said, low fuel, new tires. I know what the car feels like. I'm ready to go out there and get a pole position. But he wasn't saying anything yet. He didn't want to jinx it about coming away with his potential first ever series pole. Ahead of him will be Cooper McNeil in the 63 Scuderia Corse Ferrari. That car was the fastest car at the end of the last session with Tony Valander behind the wheel, but Cooper knows how to drive well at Sebring. He's won here in Ferrari Challenge races. He's won the 12 Hours before back in 2013. He knows how to get things done, but still looking for his first series pole. In the number 22, that's the Gradient Racing Acura. That should be Till Bechtelsheimer's helmet behind the wheel, and indeed it is. The nice chrome on that car with the blue, white, and black livery. The only Acura racing at Sebring this weekend, because both of the Meyer-Shank Racing cars not here, and we miss you guys. We are thinking about you.
And the reason for that, though, is, as we were alluding to in the earlier broadcast here, this is only point scoring for GT Daytona in the shorter race. There's what's called the Sprint Championship.
Correct. And as far as the Sprint Championship goes, it started at Daytona. It continues here this weekend and then goes through every one of the shorter races of the season. Now, we didn't know if Meyer-Shank was planning on skipping all of the Sprint Championship races because that was initially supposed to be Belle Isle. They're normally pretty good at Belle Isle, so we would have expected to see them there. But they have elected not to come to Sebring. Possibly a good decision for them. They've got two beautiful cars. In the number 30, that is the Hardpoint Racing Audi. They had a little bit of issue yesterday at the end of the first practice session, a loose left front wheel. That's no problem though, as Rob Ferriero is back behind the wheel of that car. He's got his game face on and he's ready to go out for qualifying duties.
And I interrupted you whilst our hard-working pit camera operator was at the McLaren. Who's in the McLaren?
That would be Corey Fergus, our pole sitter from Daytona.
Thank you.
Driving that beautiful Compass Racing McLaren.
You did actually mention that. Jeremy Shaw is joining us in the Haggerty Broadcast Centre as we talk to the world and brought together the whole community of endurance sports car racing. We'll get to you in a moment. Just a couple more to mention, Shea, that we haven't seen. The two Lexus who were on form, and that's the GT Daytona form team from Daytona, if you will.
Yep, we've got Frank Montecalvo in the number 12 Lexus, and Aaron Telitz, race winner the last time out, going for his first pole position in the number 14. And the only two other cars I don't think I mentioned, Ryan Hardwick in the Wright Motorsport Porsche, that's the beautiful blue and black one, and John Potter in the Magnus GRT Lamborghini.
Thank you, Shea. Shea will keep us informed, thanks to all the PR reps and major reps for the teams, many of whom are working remotely, of course, in these strange times. But great to hear engines and get cars out onto the circuit at beautiful Sebring International Raceway. Jeremy Shaw, if I said who's on pole, would you have to get out an entry list, a dartboard and a dart?
Probably yes, but if you're going to ask me for my favourites, it would be Corey Fergus or Aaron Telitz.
Right.
I think it'd be either of those. So I think, interestingly, the McLaren was quick last night in the practice session. It got up to the top of the charts right at the end of that. This morning it wasn't so fast, which is interesting, but I fancy there is speed in that car. So even though they haven't yet showed it in ultimate pace, because yesterday evening wasn't full dry, today is, and this morning's practice they didn't perhaps lay down a blinding lap, but we shall see over the course of the next 15 minutes.
It was very close behind the top 2 or 3, Shea. If I had to put your arm up your back, which obviously I wouldn't do, because that would be an assault. But if I had to press you for an answer, where would your favouritism be leaning towards, shall we say?
I think Robbie Foley is due a little bit of good luck given all that's happened to him yesterday. No spoilers for the Michelin Pilot Challenge race there.
Yes.
But I've got to say, if there's a track where Gar Robinson can squeeze out a pole this year, I think it would have to be Sebring. It's definitely the highest on his comfort level as far as all the IMSA circuits go. But just a quick note on that McLaren that Jeremy was mentioning. It's 40 kilos heavier and 7 liters of fuel less than the last time it ran not at Daytona. And of course, there's a Daytona-specific BOP that runs. So that's quite a big shift for that car.
Yeah, very good. It's very good. Good point there. Well, let's let everybody...
Compared to how the cars were at Daytona...
Yeah.
Yes, Shay's actually right. This is a Daytona-specific BOP. So these are based. Her numbers there are based on what we last saw. The last race at the town was at. It wasn't at June last year. Yes. But if you compare to Daytona, just for the heck of it, all of the cars are a little bit heavier than they were at Daytona. So the Lexus actually, curiously, and the McLaren is both of them the McLaren and the BMW both 15 kilos heavier than they were at Daytona, and the McLaren is the lightest car in the GTD field. It weighs in at minimum weight of 1295 kilograms, which is 5 kilograms lighter than the Porsche 1300. The heaviest car out there is the Mercedes at 1360 kilograms.
That's all the information that you need to know. And as far as the drivers are concerned, to get out there and drive fast, you have 15 minutes from the green flag flying. And down through the years, Jeremy, we have said this time and time again, and it's been a busy day of qualifying in motorsport all over the world today on 1, 2 and 4 wheels. With these short 15 minutes, some series of seeing what's going on, and you shift it down to 10 minutes. That's even more bonkersly brilliant, but it gets a bit hectic. I honestly, I think now back to the old days where we watched an empty track for half of a 1 hour qualifying session, and this qualifying session idea from IMSA, which set in a very long time ago in the American Le Mans Series days, it's a breath of fresh air, isn't it? Because everybody's out straight away, and these Michelin tyres are good for the whole 15 minutes. Love it.
100% agree with you. Could not be better. I think it's too many series. They just waste time with extra qualifying time. Some of the series have enough time so you could run 2 sets of tyres. Well, what's the point in that? It's just a waste of money, waste of resource, waste of everything. Just get in there, get it done. On a long track like Sebring, where the best lap, particularly for the GTD cars, is going to be over 2 minutes. 50 minutes, it still gives you, you're going to have time for maybe six laps, maybe possibly 7 laps at the most, but most of them will be doing probably 3 or 4 or 5, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it works. It's a formula that absolutely works, and for my mind should be adopted universally, and even Formula 1 kind of follows this sort of thing now, short, sharp qualifying. And I think that's brilliant.
What sort of time are we looking for, Jeremy, in terms of what the record books say here at Sebring for GT Daytona?
The qualifying record was actually set in GT Daytona by Daniel Serra in 2018 at a 158.7. More representative, perhaps, last year's pole time set by Trent Hidman in the Acura at a 159.9. The fastest time we have seen so far was a 52 minutes 2.2, so we're a long way outside of that.
2 minutes 2.4 already. So in terms of this week, Frankie Montecalvo's laid down a pretty stout opening gambit.
He is. That's a very good lap by Frankie. He was not on the case right away this morning as well. Robbie Foley into second place, just a tenth of a second behind him. Aaron Telitz in a 14 Lexus, just a couple of tenths behind him, who now goes to the top. Aaron Telitz, the first driver to complete 3 laps. He goes to the top of the charts now on a 2 minutes 1.715. Great lap there by the Wisconsinite.
And that is therefore, from what Jeremy's just said, that is the fastest lap we've seen in this meeting for a GT Daytona car.
But here comes Frankie Montecalvo through turn 17 now. 2 great split times there for Frankie. Gar Robinson goes up into second place with a 2 minutes 2.3. Across the line goes Frankie Montecalvo to the top, a 2 minutes 1.190.
That's half a second ahead of what I thought was a very good lap from Aaron Telitz, because frankly it was a very good lap. Up into third for Turner Motorsports, the M6 BMW, Lexus BMW. That's interesting. Front engine cars for the first 4. 2 Lexus, a BMW and an AMG GT3, then the Porsche of Ralph Hardwick for Wright Motorsports in the number 16 car. And as I say that, he is usurped by McLaren of Corey Fergus, but he's 1.2 seconds off at the moment. Absolutely unbelievable. Sorry, Ryan Hardwick, my apologies, for Wright Motorsport. Cooper McNeil next up, but he's 2 seconds off the pace so far. Till Bechtelsteimer's just a tenth away from 7th position. Then John Potter and Rob Ferriol in the Audi. Those guys with work to do. We are seeing some serious times being laid down at the front of the field here. 2:01.190 by Frankie Montecalvo, and the 2 Ian Vasser-Sullivan Lexus RCF GT3, to give them their full title, Jeremy, have picked up at Daytona, certainly in terms of the competitive sessions, exactly where they left off at Daytona, rather. Exactly, they've picked up here at Sebring.
Yeah, absolutely right. They've done a sensational job. Aaron Telitz just improved again on this last lap, but not by quite enough, by 0.067. He trails his teammate to 1.257. Corey Fergus, who we're watching now, come on to the back straight. He's on his last lap. He was purple in the final sector, which is only what, a quarter of a lap, just over half a minute. He was purple through there. He has gone quicker personal best in the first sector, but it's still, I think, a couple of tenths down on the 2 Lexuses.
At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us here at the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre right throughout the weekend. Remember, we've still got the race to come for the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, and we'll have that for those of you who are so equipped on XM Sirius, or Sirius XM to get it the right way around as well. 216 and 210 for Sirius and XM if you've got that equipment. And if you're in the sunshine at Sebring, thank you very much indeed for coming to the track and supporting us. I know it's limited normally in terms of the spectator numbers, but thank you for supporting IMSA and sports car racing here in Central Florida. Aaron Teelitz on another good run, 201.257. He's closed into 0.067 from his teammates, with Robbie Foley now 8 tenths away. So still the two Lexus, then the BMW, McLaren up into 4th position, Jeremy, and with 4.5 minutes left to go, there still seems to be performance in these Michelin tyres.
Yeah, for Corey Fergus, he improved in the first 2 sectors on his last lap. He was a 2 minutes 2.2, so just a tenth of a second away from Robbie Foley's BMW. I think now he's lifted off. He wasn't so quick through the first sector on this next lap for Corey Fergus, so looks like 4th place might be the best he can do. Aaron Teelitz goes across and turns another 2 minutes 01.4, so another really good lap from Aaron Teelitz, but it's not enough to knock Frankie Montecalvo off the front at the moment.
Now is the time, if you've got anything left in the fast draw, to get it out. The very lovely teal, blue, black and white Wright Motorsports Porsche goes through turn 1, easy one to spot out there. Number 16 car then sitting in 7th position for Ryan Hardwick. Looks like hasn't lifted off. No, still pushing on. Improvement from Till Bechtelsheimer, but stays in 8th position, 203.2.
Improvement also for Cooper McNeil up into 4th place ahead of the McLaren of Corey Fergus. Robbie Foley has just brought the Turner Motorsport BMW into the pits. His qualifying is done. Frankie Montecalvo ditto in the provisional pole sitting car number 12. Cooper McNeil, he turned, as Shea Adam was alluding to, he's got lots of experience around here at Sebring International Raceway. 202.159 there, good for 4th position. Corey Fergus, as we surmised, was lifting off. He too is now in the pits, but the only 2 cars out of the top 5 that remain out on the racetrack are Cooper McNeil and Aaron Teelitz, currently 4th and 2nd respectively.
They must feel they've got something there if they're still out there, because they get the split times and the cars are so technologically advanced nowadays. You can get that up on the dashboard if you want to, and also coming in. Right.
But McNeil, I think, is still on a good lap when he comes through the final corner.
That looked nice. He was on the power nice and early coming out of Sunset. Now makes the sprint to the line and goes up to the inside of row 2. 3rd best. 8 tenths of a second away, but in fact, if you want to look at it this way, Jeremy, the best of the rest after the Lexus, 0.029 ahead of Robbie Foley for BMW, and that is by far the best time for a mid-engine car. Cooper McNeil pulling out some speed when he needed it in the red, white and blue WeatherTech 63.
Very good lap there, by 2 very good laps by Cooper McNeil. He improved only a tenth of a second on his previous lap, but as you say, it was good enough to move him from 4th to 3rd. That's how close it is in that GTD field. As you said, 2 Lexuses, they've got 8 tenths of a second over everybody else, but from 3rd down to 6th position, so those 4 cars, a Ferrari, BMW, a McLaren and a Mercedes, they are covered by just over 2 tenths of a second, so really tight in there.
That was very impressive indeed. It's so tight, as Jeremy says, behind Cooper McNeil. Is this going to be an improvement for Ryan Hardwick? Don't think so. Rob Ferriol going nicely as well. Bit of a whoopsie for Ryan last time around when he went off in the transition between turns 3, 4 and 5. We've all done that, either on a console game or on a sim. You get on the power too early, the front end washes out, and all of a sudden you're on the grass. Really tricky little application of the throttle there. You've got to be so patient. Lamborghini Huracan and John Potter still sitting in 10th. Team Hardpoint, the 30, Rob Ferriol, with the Audi number 30, silver and red. Just coming under the Corvette crossover bridge, the new vehicle bridge, good enough for two-way traffic now, and heading down towards the hotel hairpin, far side of the circuit. Again, nice throttle application on that Audi.
Yeah, and again, just picking up experience for Rob Ferrell. He also drove yesterday in the Michelin Pilot Challenge race in his Team Hardpoint Audi R8 LMS GT4 car. This car, of course, a good bit more sophisticated, good bit faster, and still really gaining in experience in that car. John Potter goes across the line, does not improve, as sees a checkered flag. Cooper McNeil also sees the checkered flag. He did stay out for that last. I think he was trying to get one more lap in, but he was just beaten by the clock.
Yeah, it was a slowing down lap. He just chilled off the Michelin's a little bit. Hardwick has pitted, so only Rob Ferriol and Till Bechtelsheimer out there. Kerry Cobb, who's our London producer, very excited about Till Bechtelsheimer being here because Till's sister is an Olympic dressage rider, apparently, and proving that there is synergy between horsepower of four wheels and horsepower of four legs. Mark Wilkins' wife is an Olympic dressage rider as well. Bronze in 2012, I'm told, by Kerry. I don't know whether that was Laura or whether that was Mark's missus, but I'm learning all the time. All the time.
Remember Liz Halliday?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
She's an equestrian champion as well.
And still trains horses. She is one of the leading lights in the US for training free-day event horses, and still has some very highly rated horses in her stable. 2012, the bronze was for Lawson. Awesome, says Kerry, who obviously was at the London Olympics that year. That was, I do remember, it was held in a lovely location, the dressage, out in Greenwich from memory. Those of us who saw a little bit of that, although we were working all that summer, it seemed to me. So another pole position and another good result, and another 1-2 for Ian Vassar-Sullivan. I don't know what we say about that, Jeremy. Just a little golf clap here.
Yeah, tremendous effort there by Frankie Montecalvo. That is his first ever pole position. This is his 33rd start in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, and his first pole position. Very, very well earned. He had to really pull out all the stops there by .067 was the margin between himself and his teammate Aaron Tielitz, but there's a feather in Frankie Montecalvo's cap at number 12 team. Brilliant effort to snare his first pole position.
And I'm just being told...
Total pole position.
Yes, I'm just being told that Laura won a gold in the team dressage as well, so there's plenty of talent, sporting talent in that family as well. So we're trying to get hold of Townsend Bell, who I did see with his phone out, and just picked the phone up as we're trying to have a chat with the teammate at least of our pole sitter, and see if we can get some idea out of the car for Frankie Montecalvo, as he's down at the bottom end of the pit lane to do some of the interviews, and socially distanced, of course, in these times. But that is impressive, I've got to tell you, to have come here after a great result at Daytona and come to Sebring. Very good. And they're nothing between the two Lexus, Jeremy, but 8/10 on the field. Possibly slightly surprising to see Cooper McNeil next up, but take nothing away from Scuderia Corsa and Cooper. That wasn't a one-off. That, as you mentioned, that was a good couple of laps from Cooper that just eased him ahead by .029 of Robbie Foley, and then just another 10th back to the McLaren of Corey Fergus, and another 10th and a half back to Gar Robinson. And your top six then separated by just over a second, but 8/10 of that was effectively the gap between the rest of the field to the Ian Vassar-Sullivan cars.
Yeah, very cool. And just looking back to last year, actually, when Frankie Montecalvo also qualified number 12 car, he put the car 8th on the grid last year with a time of 2 minutes 1.100. This year, 2 minutes 1.190. You can't get much closer than that, can you?
Very, very impressive. We've said it before about good teams, Jeremy, that it's all very well if you can put one good car together, but good teams, great teams, and I think particularly people like, all the Porsche teams, including the Porsche GT North America team, Corvette Racing, and if you can put two cars together, show no favouritism, make sure that all your drivers have got the same machinery, and how many times have we seen those cars within fractions of a second of each other, and that's exactly what we have seen there. Well, and let's remember, Frankie Montecalvo turned 17, the exit of the Ferrari upside down in that car a little while ago. Contact with an LMP2, as she reminds me there. GT Le Mans coming next, another 15 minutes of action. 6 cars, 3 manufacturers and 6 drivers share. Who's on qualifying duty?
Well, as a little bit of irony, there's only one car in the field that I don't know, and that is the 24 BMW. We're looking at the 25. That is Bruno Spengler, once again taking qualifying duties for that car. Connor D. Fleet sat on pole here in 2012 in the 25 BMW, but now it's Bruno's turn to try and go out and bring a little good fortune to that BMW team. As I said, not entirely sure who's in the sister car, the number 24, so we'll have to wait and see what helmet color is on there. For the number 3 Corvette, that is the one that won the last time out, the bright yellow one. Once again, Jordan Taylor taking up qualifying duties. And for the number 4 Corvette, the silver one with the yellow accents as opposed to the yellow one with the silver accents, Ollie Gavin, the madman, who scared many people on social media this morning by posting that he went for a 100-kilometer bike ride. No, that was from Wednesday. It just posted today. He's not that crazy to go for a long bike ride before he's got a long race in the Florida heat. In Porsche world, we have Team France for the number 911. That is Fred Macavecchi, pole sitter here back in 2015. And of course, we can tell that it's Lawrence Vantor getting strapped into the number 912 Porsche without even looking at it. Well, just because it's qualifying duty, so it's got to be Larry. But I sent him a text earlier and said, you do realize that Porsches have been on pole here 3 times in the last 6 years, and it's never been a repeat Porsche driver. So obviously Fred can't get pole again. It's your turn. And he said, well, okay, if you say so.
He looked good. He looked good in the last practice session. And I have to say, though, so did Fred Macavecchi, as he went out late on and put some good times in. You could throw a small picnic blanket across the GT Le Mans field. BMWs seem always, Jeremy, to race a little bit better than their qualifier. I'm not sure how much they concentrate on qualifying and what kind of differences RLL put into the car for the qualifying sessions, but there's been absolutely nothing in terms of performance when you look at and interrogate the figures, as we tend to do, and I know as IMSA does as well, that there's been nothing between these cars since we've seen them at the 24 and then again for the 240 at Daytona. It's been very, very tight indeed. And I think that was Jesse Krom, by the way, in the BMW that we didn't get from Shea, that looked like his helmet there.
It has been tight, hasn't it? You're absolutely right there. And, it's always just about impossible to pick who we think might be on pole in GTLM, because generally speaking, in the practice sessions, they don't really show their full hand. I would expect to see much faster times now in qualifying, although it is pretty hot out there. The temperature is up to 31 degrees centigrade. What's that in proper numbers?
93.
93, thank you, Shay. So it's pretty warm out there, and
31 in the air, 34 on the track.
So hot and sticky out there. So it's going to be hard work for the tyres, no question about it. But the Michelin tyres that are used in the GTLM, well, in all the categories, but notably now in GTLM as we're getting ready for the qualifying session, it's going to be a workout for everybody here. It's going to be an interesting qualifying session. They always are. But Fred Macavecchi, that was a great lap he turned this morning. I know this is a track that everybody enjoys it because of the challenges, but it's a great lap he laid down this morning to be just over just around about a tenth quicker than his teammate Lawrence Vantour, and Fred McAvecchi will be looking to repeat that this afternoon.
I love the new treatment on the back of the 19 RSR with that little ducktail. That's got so much Porsche heritage. The completely closed off engine cover and, well, I say engine cover, rear deck, and the blacked out solid back window. Remember that big aerodynamic splitter underneath the back of the car, made possible by swapping the position of the engine and the gearbox around. But frankly, even with these current regulations, you could stick the engine in the front of the Porsche. You're allowed to put the engine anywhere in a GT Le Mans car. It doesn't have to be in the same place as the road car, which is a bit of an odd one really, when it is supposed to be a road car derived category. But that said, these cars are serious racing cars. I love the simplicity of the livery as well for Porsche this year. The white cars, Grand Prix white with the red stripe over the top, just seems to fit them somehow. Out straight away then, Jordan Taylor for Corvette in the yellow and grey C8. Oh, that's another car where the engine has changed position, but that's happened in the road car as well. Now a mid-mounted V8. And great news for those in the UK, Australia and Japan. There will be a right-hand drive version of the Corvette. Price is already announced in the UK launch edition somewhere, I think around about £70,000. That is completely loaded with every box ticked. It's caused a bit of excitement with many Corvette fans, and they are legion around the world. Ford Mustang already in right-hand drive here in the UK and global markets. There was some hope we might get a Camaro in right-hand drive, and I've actually seen right-hand drive conversions in Australia that are being done by, I think, say Walton Shaw's were the guys that were importing them and putting the steering wheel on the other side, Shea, when we were down in Bathurst at the early part of this year.
I think you're right on that.
I think so. Fairly. Quite a bit of work to be done on those. So we'll get a lap or so before the tyres come up. Jeremy was right to say that all the Michelin tyres are very durable in qualifying. Of course, GT Le Mans, unique in the IMSA classes in that there is a choice. There are more than one compound of tyres, slick tyres to choose from, and the individual manufacturers work with their own Michelin engineer to optimise the choices for each racetrack, whereas in the other categories it's one slick and one wet. Here in the GTLM, as I say, there tends to be a little bit of choice and variety, and we have seen in certain tracks, I think particularly of Lime Rock Park, where we've had all three variants of slick racing rubber on the car at the same time. Always necessarily the same tyres on the same axles on the same sides can be used to your advantage, particularly interestingly in qualifying, of course. The other thing that we tend to see, Jeremy, is the different cars will use their Michelin tyres and particularly bring them up the temperature and pressure very differently. That they have their own warm-up procedures. It might be a couple of laps at medium pace, it might be a medium pace, a faster pace, and then go for it, but they're not necessarily all going to be doing the same thing in these early laps. 11 minutes to go, and still two cars out. Lawrence Vantour and Jordan Taylor. Ollie Gavin's gone out as well. Fred McAvecchi's gone out, so the BMW's doing the BMW thing and staying in, and that again, Jeremy, you typed that just as I was saying that, Shea, literally as I was saying it. That's not anything to worry about either. RLL with the two M8s for some reason, Jeremy, just like to sit and have an extra chat with their engineers before they roll out of the pits.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they haven't yet finished that cup of tea, cup of coffee that they were enjoying before the start of qualifying. So, you know, the BMWs they always do this. They always wait till I think they do set up their cars just for an ultimate lapping qualifying, whereas the Corvettes and to plus a slightly lesser extent the Porsches tend to go out there. They tend to run the whole session, and that way they're also learning through the race. BMWs they've done all their race preparations through the practice sessions. That's why I believe they hope that they haven't yet shown their full hand, but they reckon they're ready to go for the race, and now they'll see what they can do for qualifying.
Flat 6 barks out its orchestral sound round the final corner and starts another lap. Jordan Taylor lays a sub 2 minute lap down, 59 flat against a 59.2 for Fred McAvecchi. Those are the first two representative laps. Jeremy, what sort of time sheet are we looking for here?
The lap record in GTLM was actually set a couple of years ago by Conor Di Filippi in qualifying at 1 minute 55.839. The pole position last year by Patrick Pilet in 155.899, so almost identical, just 6/100ths of a second slower. And the fastest race lap, just for good measures, at 157.4, so it could be quicker in qualifying than in race 2 for GTLM. That's the norm for these guys. And there's the first lap there for Ollie Gavin.
That's all right.
It's a good lap there, 157.9 for.
Well, here we go. Just going through now, Jeremy. 55.6, 155.6 for Jordan Taylor.
Lap record then for Jordan Taylor. What a great effort by the young Floridian. I mean, he knows this track as well as anybody. He's in Corvette era. Certainly, he's the youngest driver in that team now, taking over the seat on that number 3 car from Jared Magnussen to drive alongside Garcia. 29 years of age is Jordan Taylor. He's had 2 pole positions in the past, and he would love to make it 3.
And that was his second flying lap. Ollie Gavin's on another good one as well. Still waiting for times to come in from Lawrence Vantour. His best at the moment, 2:01. He's coming round for his second flying lap. McAvecchi goes up into second, 156.2, but still 8/10 of a second from Jordan Taylor to the rest of the field. 157.9 for the other Corvette. Let's wait for Ollie Gavin to come through to complete his second flyer. He's hanging it all out at the moment on the far side of the circuit, and the number 3, Jordan Taylor, that yellow and grey car, he's putting Michelin's on the dirt, so nothing being left to chance here. Feels like he's got something good going. Still waiting for Vantour.
He's quicker again, I think.
Yes, he is. He is. 2 faster sectors.
Yeah, every inch of the racetrack, and more for Jordan Taylor to get out down the tower, turn 12, coming now down the Ulmann straight into the final corner. Just a quarter of a mile to go to the finish line.
He just enters that final corner with so much speed. There's barely a brush of the brakes. He turns in, then he changes down, which sounded to me like 2 gears changing down. There it is, 55.634. That's another new qualifying lap record in consecutive laps for Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, just by thousandths of a second was he quicker than the previous lap, but a great effort. 2 fantastic laps there for Jordan Taylor.
And Ollie Gavin improved as well, down to a 56.0, but that's still 4/10 of a second away from his teammate there, as out comes Bruno Spengler for RLL, Rahal Latterman Lanigan, and the BMW M8. Vantour up into third with a 56.3, 56.5 for Fred McAvecchi. Ollie Gavin, let's see if he's stayed on it and goes for one more lap. That was brilliant for Taylor. That was his 3rd flying lap for Taylor to get down to 55.634. Through goes the Porsche, Mako, down to a 56.0. So still only Jordan Taylor in the 55s. That just underlines, Jeremy, what a great couple of laps it was for Jordan Taylor. 2 laps under 156, and they're both credited to the number 3 of Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, stunning effort there by Jordan Taylor. And Fred McAvecchi, they're just 0.064 shy of that lap by Oliver Gavin. As you say, he's almost 4 tenths away from Jordan Taylor, but there's still plenty of time in this session, still 5 minutes remaining. And only now, with those 5 minutes remaining, we see both of the BMWs out on track. Here's a glance at the number 4 car.
Doesn't improve. 2
Oliver
tenths
Gavin.
off. Yeah, 2 tenths off.
6-2.
Yeah, 2 tenths
6-2.
off. 2 tenths off his own best. And no improvement either for Lawrence Vanter down in 4th. Larry will not be happy with that. He'll not be happy at being 7.5 tenths away from pole position provisionally. He'll not be happy at being 1 tenth away from Mako.
No, he won't, will he? He was 1 tenth behind him in the session this morning, and 3 at the moment. And you know, just looking at some of their sector times, they're almost identical through the first sector, and just fractionally behind the 2 Corvettes. But it's super tight between all of them.
2 BMWs are now out. Jesse Krohn confirmed behind the wheel of the 24. We knew it was Bruno in the 25. 25 is the red, black, white and grey, and that starts a lap now and looks fairly steady for Bruno. But then again, Bruno is such a smooth driver in virtual reality on the sims or in real life that you never really get an idea from the body language of the car, because it never really seems to be out of shape. He was extraordinary in the IMSA iRacing Pro Series from someone who self-confessed was pretty rubbish at sim racing and could barely keep the car on the track towards the back end of 2019. Sat down with a couple of iRacing experts, Alexander Voss and Ryan Heinrich, who worked with the BMW Motorsport drivers. Really worked hard on his craft, and feels that he's learned from his real world driving from what he did on the sim, and also took some of his real world talent into that, particularly the way that he was analysing what was going on. The 24 then is Jesse Krohn, which is the black and BMW M Sport stripes. I've always liked, do you know, if somebody had told me years ago, Jeremy, well, we're going to do a black BMW with the M stripes on them, the M series stripes on, I would have went, don't be daft, that won't work at all. You always think of a white background, a light background for those cars, and yet I actually really do like the black car with the M stripes on it.
Yeah, they had some black cars back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Classic liveries then, and it does look even sharper, I think, in the black than the white, if that's possible, because the white looks super. But I like the red one as well, quite frankly. Now that's new for this year. I think it looks really, really good. Interestingly, now Jordan Taylor, he's brought his number 3 car into the pit lane. Slow laps last time around for Fred McAvecchi, returned the 2 and 3.
First lap.
No improvement.
Sorry, Jerry, go ahead.
For Lawrence Vanter either.
Bruno Spengler's first flying lap of 57.2, and that actually, in the big scheme of things, for the first flying lap, is pretty good. Now the question will be, can he improve on that? Jesse Krohn hasn't gone as quickly on his first flying lap, not by any stretch of the imagination. 5 seconds slower at a 2:02.7 as McAvecchi goes through on a 2:03. So that means he's cooled his Michelins a wee bit and he's going to
no, I think Mako's in the pits. I think Mako
he has. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, didn't say that.
But Oliver Gavin remains out there, I think, as does the other Porsche at this stage. Although a slow lap last time for Larry Vanter. We'll have to wait and see where he comes in. Bruno Spengler, his flying lap now, good first sector, but about a 10.5 or just over. Almost 2 tenths away from Jordan Taylor's time, but still a good first split there for Bruno Spengler in that car number 25.
Under 1 minute remaining, but remember, if the 25 gets across the line, which it should about do.
Slow middle split though.
All 3 sectors belong to Jordan Taylor at the moment. Purple across the whole lot. Wayne Taylor, his dad, down in the Corvette, or near to the Corvette pit stall, just giving a thumbs up. So the 25 will get one more go if Bruno Spengler wants to give it a go. Yes, he does. Jesse Krohn still to cross the line, and he might not get back over here, but he's put in a decent first sector, but he's lost 7/10 in the second sector. And I don't think he's going to get around for another lap in the 24. No, the check is out. So this will be it for Jesse Krohn. 2:02.7 he's got. He'll improve on that and goes up to a 1:56.6. So just 2/10 off the back of the Porsches and faster than his teammate Bruno Spengler, who is on one more lap. Now what's Ollie Gavin doing? He did a 2:03 last time around. I don't think he's improving. He's out of the power.
I think that's the miscalculation by Rahul Letterman, Lanigan Racing Team, BMW team. I think they probably wanted to get an extra lap for Jesse Krohn there, but he wasn't able to get around before the checkered flag came out. So he's just had those 2 flying laps, that's it.
Ollie Gavin
remains out there, but he isn't any quicker, I think, this next lap. So maybe they just don't have the pace this time around.
Ollie Gavin in the pits, he wasn't improving, and I suspect the 912 is going to come in as well. Yep, off to the right hand side, turning right and dives into the pit lane for Lawrence Van Tour. Spengler not improving, as Jeremy said. So I think we can congratulate Jordan Taylor. The checkered flag is out, and just looking at the body language of the number 25 car, Bruno Spengler, and notwithstanding what I said earlier on about him being very smooth at all times, the tail of the timer says not going to improve on his position. So we have a pole position for the team that took the 100th IMSA victory for Corvette Racing last time out. Doug Feehan just making his way onto the pit wall, and unusual to see Doug wearing long trousers, but he is doing because he's in the pit lane. But he's got those sort of cargo pants that he can zip the legs on and off of, so as soon as he gets out of the pit lane, he's extremely fit, as well as being emotional and passionate. One of the nicest people you could ever talk to in any paddock around the world. Amongst a lot, in fairness. We're very lucky in IMSA competition. Normally wears yellow shoes as well, so I'm not sure what's going on with that today. He's a bit more corporate than normal. Shea Adam is our VP Racing Fuels pit and paddock reporter, and I think now we can confirm, Shea, that Corvette Racing number 3 is on pole position.
Yeah, so 2 races in a row where Corvette has been on pole. At Daytona, it was the 4 car, Ollie Gavin, who put the car in the first position, and the 3 car that brought home the win. This time it's the 3 car that starts on pole position, and we'll have to wait and find out who does bring home the win a little bit later on in the afternoon. I'm just waiting. Ryan Smith might not actually be at the track, but he is still fetching his drivers for us, so that is one hard-working PR man. And we know that Antonio has his phone. We're just waiting for confirmation that we can actually get a hold of him and have a chat with the Spaniard.
Super duper. They have made a very, very good pair, and Jordan Taylor is a reintroduction in some ways, Jeremy, to GT racing. Has gone very nicely indeed. He's recalibrated whatever he needed to do and got himself very comfortable very quickly indeed at top level racing for Corvette Racing.
Yeah, Jordan Taylor, I mean, he's a star, isn't he? This is his 3rd pole in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. The last one came in the prototype for his father's team at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. That was back in 2018. His other pole also came at Mazda Raceway back in 2015.
Ah, okay, so he's a bit of an expert on California and the lovely track there. Just waiting to see if we can speak to his teammate, Shea Adam, for the VP Fuel report.
Hey, Antonio, congratulations on pole position, picking up right where you guys left off on track with the #1 on the side of the car. Did you expect to have a position so good to begin things?
I don't know. I mean, congratulations to Jordan for sure. I mean, he's the one that did the lap. So, yeah, pretty happy about that. I mean, it's been quite a wild weekend again so far with all the rain yesterday. Barely 1 or 2 laps in the dry yesterday, and obviously Jordan was able to run a few laps this morning in the dry, and we kind of spot obviously the problems we had, and they seem to be working for sure. So yeah, pretty happy about that, and to keep this thing rolling about pole positions and winning. So yeah, let's see how the C8R reacts this afternoon.
Well, we know the car is good in the dry, given the pole position time. You got to drive it last night when the conditions were drying out, and there might be some rain that comes through later. Are you still happy if it does rain? Do you still think you have a fast enough car to win?
Yeah, I mean, everything seems to be aligning and everything kind of running good. I mean, for sure we've been testing a lot, and I mean, all we could basically, and all the information we were getting against the C7R was positive. So we just needed to prove it on track, and for sure maybe Daytona 24 was a bit too early because you need to also have reliability, so which maybe is not the perfect scenario for a new car. But with all this time off we had, all the engineers at Pratt Miller and Corvette worked really hard and just trying to fix all the little issues we had at the 24, because space, I think, was already there. And now we are just kind of following the track conditions, and the C8R seems to be good on every single condition. Yesterday in the wet, it was really good as well. So now you can understand why, for example, last year at the Sebring 12 hours, how Ford and BMW just pull away from you. It seemed unreal, because on the C7R we couldn't do that. But yesterday, on those few laps in the wet, now I could understand why they would be that fast. So now we can actually have the tools to fight for the win. So as we are actually doing.
Yeah. Well, go and celebrate for a short while, Antonio. Thanks, and good luck for the race.
It's easier.
And you're going to make Ryan.
Thank you. All right.
Well done to Antonio Garcia and his teammate Jordan Taylor. It is a team effort. You've got to get the car set up the way that the guys wanted. Jordan Taylor been doing a couple of interviews as well. Doug Feehan promised me in the first 100 wins programme that we did about Corvette, it would not be as long, Jeremy, between number 100 and 101 as it was in IMSA racing, as it was between 99 and 100. The really, I mean, you know, when you get to the end of a development phase on a car, and the C7R was the oldest car in the class, there are not the kind of performance gains to make in a new car, and this C8R seems to have been a quantum leap for the Corvette racing team, that they've just taken in their stride and immediately made it into a very, very good race car.
Yeah, pretty potent, isn't it? It's come out of the box strong, and they've got some great results already with that car, and you know they've got momentum on their side. That always helps as well. With the confidence of the drivers is sky high, and another very, very well earned pole position here.
I think we've got that first 100 wins, IMSA wins for Corvette programme coming up at the end of our qualifying show. So if you're listening on IMSA Radio RS2, stay tuned to that. If you haven't heard it, you'll enjoy it. It's a worthwhile listen with Doug Feehan. As I said, anytime you're with Doug Feehan, it's worth listening. Let's go through then the prototype qualifiers. We'll have both prototype classes out at the same time. The DPIs, the Daytona prototypes, and Jeremy thinks that's the 71st pole for Corvette, the DPIs and the LMP2s. Shea, what can you tell me about the qualifiers?
We are going to have 13 cars out on track all at once for this qualifying session, and starting with the LMP2 cars, because I can pretty much figure out who's going to qualify those based on the driver ratings. John Ferrano is in the Tower Motorsport car. That's the number 8. There was some contact in the second practice session that Ryan Dalziel told me they were able to fix in between, so that's good news for the Canadian behind the wheel. It will be Dwight Merriman in the Era Motorsport LMP2 car. That's the number 18. They had gearbox issues in between sessions and actually had to change that. So good effort on those crew guys to get things fixed. For the number 52, that's the PR1 Matheson Motorsport. Patrick Kelly will be the one forced to drive that car since Spencer Pigot is a gold. And Henrik Hedman will be driving the number 81 Dragon Speed car that stopped at the end of the last session. As I understand it, was a little bit of a fuel issue there. For Performance Tech, they do have a choice. I don't know if it's Cameron Castles, the Canadian, or Kyle Masson, the young American. Both fall into the spanner of being able to qualify as cars are rolling. And just a couple other cars that I did notice the helmets of. It's Juan Pablo Montoya in the number 6 for Acura Team Penske, and Elio Castroneves in the 7.
I can tell you that going out is Renger van der Zande in the number 10, Windtail Racing, Cadillac, Tristan Nunes for the 77, Jonathan Bomarino for the other Mazda, the 55. You were right with Patrick Kelly for PR1 and Henrik Hedman. Well done. And it's Cameron Castles in the 38. Merriman in the Era Motorsport, you spot on there as well, Shea, so very good indeed.
And we still don't know who's going to be in the 31. That is still in the pit lane, the Whalen Engineering Cadillac, defending Sebring 12-hour winner, keep in mind. So there is a lot at stake for that car as the engine has fired up, the door closes. That
I understand. If you're at the track, there's not many of you allowed to be at the track, but if you are, and you're right on the wire at the edge of the track, take a couple of steps back when people is up to speed. So he leaves nothing out there. An extraordinary driver that's, even though we think he's good, Jeremy, I still think some people underrate him, believe it or not. I think he's an outstanding talent, people.
No question. I mean, he's just taken to sports car racing. He took to it right away as soon as he tried his hand at it after trying to make the grade as an open-wheel driver, and he is very, very quick. And it's a really strong pairing, I think, now with he and Felipe Nasr, who is, in my mind, a real star. He is somebody who certainly should have been able to make a mark in Formula One. Didn't get that opportunity, but he's certainly done so in sports cars. And having had to sit out Daytona after that testing positive for COVID-19, it's certainly good to see Felipe Nasr back again.
So in the break, it will be Corvette first 100 wins. Then we've got a little program on the gradient effort in the WeatherTech SportsCar Championship with their two drivers, Mark Miller and Till Bechtelsheimer, and then we'll replay the qualifying session just in case you've missed anything before we go into Michelin Countdown to Green and our live coverage of the race later on this afternoon. Right, off we go then. Already a couple of minutes have elapsed and people are streaming out. Again, expect to see pretty much everybody out early on. In fact, everyone has come out. All 13 cars, I reckon, are out. No, I'll take that back. There's one Team Penske, the number 6 Team Penske car hasn't gone out. Joao Barbosa in the number 5 Mustang Sampling JDC Miller Motorsport car has not gone out. They're the only two that haven't gone out so far. So they might just be waiting for a little bit of clear track. What do you reckon, Jeremy? Over one lap? I know we've got 2 hours and 40 later on today. We've seen the Mazda's quick, we've seen the Acua's quick, and we've seen people Durrani very quick. What do you reckon?
Yeah. It's a toughie, this one. I mean, the Mazda has the race lap record around here. That was Harry Tinknell last year, 147.4. The pole record, Dane Cameron last year in the Acura, 145.8. Fastest time this morning, 146.9. You say by Pipo Derani. I fancy there's more to come from the Acura and the Mazda perhaps compared to what we've seen so far today, but we will see in the next 15 minutes. It's going to be a really interesting session. Mazda's, the best that they've had so far was the 5th place this morning for Tristan Nunez in the car number 77, and Mazda's here. without this weekend, Nelson Cosgrove, who wasn't able to make the team, a family member was exposed to COVID-19, so he is remaining at home, so not here this weekend, Nelson. So hurry back to the track. He's okay himself, but a family member was exposed to it, so he took the prudent course of action there. So he's covering all the action here from his home.
Sebastian Bourdais out in the number 5. So that means that car has got to be thought of as a contender for pole position as well. It's a sampling car with just under 10 minutes to go.
Last night, you remember that 5 car had an off to turn 7. I've been trying to get an answer on what happened there. He kind of lost the car in the brake. He went straight on through the grass, back onto the asphalt in the escape road, and had to kind of turn left there down to his hotel. It was a brilliant save by Joao Barbosa, and I don't think there was a specific problem with the car, although he did apparently, he said there was some brake fade. I think perhaps with a touch of over exuberance as well, perhaps, but it was a brilliant save, and that car has been fast all weekend, particularly in the hands of Sebastian Bourdais, who's an absolute stud at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he can do in this qualifying session.
Number 10, Van der Zande with wheels off the ground at a 47.2. 47.2 for that. Hello to Rodrigo Zarata down in Argentina, who is watching on and listening in. Adam, I think you did find out some news about that car that we were talking about a moment or two ago.
Yeah, I was texting with Schweilen between the sessions and just wanted to find out if that moment he had at turn 3 earlier in the second practice session was anything to do with what happened last night. He said last night they had a rear brake line failure. It completely shut down all of his brakes, so he went off the track, and that's why he didn't try driving back to the pit lane. Today, he said he felt something similar, but he just drove around it, and the car was fine for the rest of the session, so that bodes well. This is an issue that they've seen in the past at this track. They know that it is an issue, but it's something that they feel good enough to keep going with the race today.
Well, you get a lot of pad knock off here, Jeremy, don't you, because you hit the curbs, and there's a lot of bumps as well. So even if you're not on the curbs, knock off the pads is where the pads get rattled away from the brake disc, the brake rotor. And so you'll quite often see a little dab of the brakes before the braking area. You'll see the red tail lights come on these cars just to pull the pads, the friction pads, closer to the brake disc, the brake rotor itself.
Indeed so, and there's a good example going to the source line through the official line from the team, which is rather disappointing to get the wrong story on that one. But in any case, so there's a great lap from Juan Pablo Montoya at 146.949, but Pipo Durán,
there he goes,
146.733, and new fastest time.
And what have we seen this week already, Jeremy, in terms of, we've had 45s, haven't we? Durrani was down in the 45s, he was the only driver in the 45s in that last session.
No, 46.9, he was the only one in the 46s.
All right, so he's beaten that, so that's the fastest lap we've seen this event so far, by a couple of tenths.
Yep.
So that's impressive.
A little bit of
Yes, yeah.
In LMP2, good first lap there for Henrik Hedman in the Dragon Speed, car number 81, 152.4, faster than Patrick Kelly at number 52 PR1 Matheson Motorsports car, second place at 150.
No, Patrick Kelly's just got 51.7 for Patrick. He was sparkling in free practice too, wasn't he?
Certainly was. He was quickest early on by a good margin. He's put that car, the car from PR1 Matheson Motorsports at the top of the charts there. 151.7 for Patrick Kelly, 152.4 for Henrik Hedman to improve on his last lap. Cameron Castle's in third place for Performance Tech at 153.3 last time around. That's third position.
This is the least amount of humidity we've seen all of this event. It's only 67%. It was up at 85 and 87 in some of the other sessions. That's as close to being bone dry as you get in Florida at this time of year, isn't it?
That's almost to the point where you need to put lotion on before you walk outside, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Into the pits for Juan Pablo Montoya. A second place at the moment, 2/10 away from P4, 5.5 minutes to go. Van der Zande another 10.5 back. Then Tristan Nunez just about a 10th. Bourdais less than another 10th. Nunez improves by 0.008 of a second. Doesn't move forward. Bourdais, as I say, 0.076 further back. Then a 10.5 to Castro Neves. Then it's Steven Simpson. So both the Acura Team Penske's in the pits. Then they will do no more than 2 flying laps.
And Tristan Nunez ditto with the 77 Mazda. Jonathan Bomarito, he's also in the pits. His best lap was 147.8, excuse me, 147.8. So 1.1 seconds then covers the DPI field.
That's the 8 of them.
Patrick Kelly improves again at 151.5 now for the Californian.
Not sure what's up with the 55. They didn't show a lot of pace in the free practice session either, from memory. So they're sitting at the moment on all the way back on the 4th row. Let's not forget, we're not talking about being at the back of a 60-car field here, but their single lap pace is a second or so off. That doesn't bode too well. I suspect probably that isn't their they're not showing their true pace in terms of a longer race run. 46.7 P4 Tirani. Still out there.
46.9 last time around.
Yeah, in fact he has got the 2 fastest laps, hasn't he? Yeah. Barely. 46.923 against the 46.949 from Montoya. Oh, hang on. 46.9. No, he's pitted. Sorry, I thought it was flashing up again. 46.923, 46.733. His 2 best laps. That's impressive again by people.
Very impressive, and particularly from the fact that he's quick on Sebastian Bourdais. He manages only a 47.2 before we just saw him duck into pit lane as well. So the only DPI car remaining out on track is the banana boat car, the number 85 JDC Motorsports Cadillac of Steven Simpson, who's currently in the 7th position. He's about 4/10 of a second behind Castro Neves. He now is on the pits. He's done so. All the DPI cars are in the pits. All the 5 LMP2s remain out on track. That was an improvement last time for Cameron Castles. He's about a half a second behind Henrik Hedman, who's in 2nd position. Castles in 3rd. Patrick Kelly leads the way in that 151.5.
In the blue and white number 52 car, which is just exiting the first corner as he heads off onto another lap, and he's just put in the fastest first sector of anyone. It's only a short sector, about 10 seconds. But just to tell you how good Patrick is at the moment, he's just taken 0.3 of a second out of the best first sector time of Henrik Hedman. So 0.3 in a 10.5 second segment of the track. So he's really doing a very, very good job indeed, Patrick Kelly, in that number 52 PR1 Motorsports car. Now coming out of the hairpin and heading over to the far side of the circuit. Normally be party zone over there. Even in a shorter race, I'm sure there would have been a big crowd here. Could there have been? A select few, I think, will be able to say he was there, as they did at Daytona a few weeks ago, with the restrictions being put on gatherings. Kelly through into the fast sweepers. Sean de Bian bends before sweeping right-handed onto the back straight. That number 52 car, quite a lot of rake in it. It's sitting up at the back end through the slower stuff, but then sits down as the speed and the aerodynamic forces build on it down the Ullman straight, the back straight down towards turn 17 at Sunset, and a very positive turn in by Patrick Kelly as he heads around to complete another lap. Might just be getting a little bit of aerodynamic wash from the car ahead of him. That's another good lap from Kelly. 52.1, so a little bit outside of what he's been running. But that car looks a good platform, Jeremy, that blue and white number 52 PR1 car.
Yeah, so it does, doesn't it? And yeah, that team, they've been around this business now in LMP2 for quite a long time, so they certainly have a very, very good setup on that car. And Patrick Kelly, who's just taken to this series like a duck to water. He made his debut last year at Road America, came away with the victory, shared a car then with Matt McMurray, and he's since then got a reasonable amount of test time over the winter, and he's come out very, very strong this year. He wasn't at Daytona, but is here now and back strong and looking to get his first pole position.
VP Racing Fuels Pit and Paddock Report. Just a quick update on that number 55 Mazda. Jonathan Marmarino went out and qualified. This is the car that won 2 weeks ago in Daytona, keep in mind. They qualified P8. I checked in with the team and Harry Tanknold just to make sure there was nothing wrong with the car. He said, no, the car's fine. They just went with a different setup and it wasn't the one to go with. So they will be starting last in class. But for those of you who have been paying attention to racing this weekend, starting last isn't necessarily the worst thing, and that's all I'm going to say to stay spoiler-free.
Oh yeah, I know. I managed to doze off in the middle of that in the early hours. Do they think they've got a handle on it, Shea, from the conversation that you had? All very well saying, you know, we went with the setup, it wasn't the right setup, but do they think they've got a handle on it, and can they, I presume they could just revert to the same settings of the team car?
They ran a different setup than the 77. The 77 qualified fourth, so they can make changes to the setup and go closer toward what the sister car had, yes, before the race begins.
Okay, and they've got plenty of time to do some quite extensive setup changes if they really want to. It will be a bit of a gamble because there's no further sessions, of course. It'll just be the run to the grid. Fast running. Checkered flag is out. Pipo Derani stayed out for that, pretty much that whole session, just to cover off anything that might have happened, but everyone else saw his time of a 1:46.7 and went, nah, thanks very much, we'll park it, save the tyres. Patrick Kelly, similarly, half a second from Patrick Kelly back to Henrik Hedman, and another half a second back to Cameron Castles. That's impressive stuff, and Pipo Derani extricates himself from the Whelen Engineering Racing Cadillac DPI. That is a solid run again from the young South American, and great to have him back. He knows what he's just done there. That was a great lap, Jeremy.
It certainly was, yeah. He pulled out all the stops there, did Pipo Derani. Gets a congratulatory pat there from his fellow Brazilian Felipe Nasser, with whom he will share that car this evening. But job done there for Pipo Derani. He loves this track at Sebring. It always goes well here. Seems to be a winning machine here, and this will be his fourth career pole in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship.
Now Pipo is going to get picked off for the interviews that you will see later on. Certainly likes this track, Pipo Derani. Remember the overtakes down at the hairpin? Even when people knew what he was going to do, they couldn't stop him. He was that good. Right, now hand Pipo his phone back, or Felipe his phone back, and we'll see if we can grab a word with them. If they're listening on the PL, Pipo, pick your phone up. Chris Mitchum, the gentleman who was taking the photographs on the telephone, and we'll try and get in touch with Chris to see if we can grab one of the guys for a quick thought before we wrap up, which we will do in a moment. Chris is the team manager for Action Express. Jeremy, your thoughts are on what we've seen. Let's just recap. Lexus first and second ahead of Ferrari in GTD, first of all.
Yeah, yes, great job by Lexus there, head and shoulders above everybody else. They got 3/4 of a second in handle more over the rest of the field, but super tight behind them. The Lexus, you know, we know those cars are harder on their tyres than many of the other contenders in GTD. It's still going to be pretty warm this evening, even though we're going to be racing into the evening. It'll almost be nightfall by the time the race finishes. So I think the race will be closer. Excellent job by Cooper McNeil to put the Scuderia Corsa WeatherTech Ferrari in third on the grid in GTD.
The Corvettes look very good, in particular the number 3, Jordan Taylor. Is that the Jordan effect? It might well be. 4 tenths ahead of his teammate, and then the 2 Porsches in behind them in the big GT class.
Indeed so, and certainly hats off there to Corvette Racing once again, continuing that momentum they showed at Daytona. Great effort that was by Jordan Taylor. He'll be thrilled, but that was a good lap to be nearly 4 tenths quicker than Oliver Gavin, and a new track record for Jordan Taylor in that C8R Corvette.
We've talked about LMP2. Patrick Kelly did a great job, half a second ahead of the field, and Pipo Derani takes pole position for Whelen Engineering. That bodes very well indeed for the bright red number 31.
It does, doesn't it? Just a final note in LMP2. John Ferrano just snuck ahead of Dwight Merriman there on the last lap. So having had the off this morning for John Ferrano in that Tower Motorsport by Starworks entry, Colin Brady, he got a good lap together at the end of that session to move up into 4th position. But yeah, Pipo Derani very much the star here. Just a couple of tenths of a second between Derani in the Cadillac and the best Acura Team Penske car in second place, Juan Pablo Montoya. Doesn't seem to be an awful lot to choose between any of the cars. No. I don't think the best of the Mazdas within a half a second of the pole with Tristan Nunez, but the number 55 car certainly struggling there with Jonathan Bomarito, a full half a second behind his teammate in qualifying.
I do love those short, sweet qualifying sessions. Thank you very much to all the team PRs and the media reps for getting us the information share. Adam was our VP Racing Fuels Pit and Paddock correspondent. Jeremy Shaw with me in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre. Michelin Countdown to Green on RS2 IMSA Radio is our next live programme. Stay tuned for Corvette Racing 100 victories in IMSA, the first 100 victories in IMSA, with Doug Feehan coming up next. And then we're right into race mode as we're getting ready for round 3 of the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. It is the Cadillac Grand Prix of Sebring, and with the weather still potentially playing a little bit of a hand, it could all come down to strategy, to great driving, of course, to speed, yeah, but you know what? It might just be a little bit about luck and who gets the tyre choice correct at the right time, or who hits the pits at the right time. Join us for Countdown to Green, the Michelin Countdown to Green, and the whole of the race live on IMSA TV and IMSA Radio. Bye-bye for now.